We're going to talk to Gohan from Texas, and you would like to say that the basis for morality is God?
Yes.
Present your argument.
We're doing good.
Yeah, we're doing great, thanks.
I was just kind of going along. I tried to have a phone call a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to see if I could try to go along the same lines as that one. It kind of goes off of the idea that morality, the existence of morality disproves naturalism. And if naturalism is disproven, that means supernatural things are true. And if that's true, then that opens a window for God. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, I guess I'm not. I can see the structure, attempted structure. I'm not convinced by the first step. I mean, we could start there. The existence of morality.
Can I ask a clarifying question? What could you just do me a favor and define what you mean by morality?
Right.
Not just an objective, but a sorry, I was listening to a couple of shows that I know objective isn't usually the best word to choose for morality, but an absolute list of what is right and wrong.
So
true.
Okay, so morality is a list of what is right and wrong?
Yeah. Not a physical list, but yes.
Right and wrong with respect to who or what?
Well,
yeah, like I think mayonnaise is wrong, objectively wrong. Like, is that? I think it's immoral. Is anyone to say that I am wrong in that claim?
If you think pineapples on pizza is right, then yes, you are objectively wrong. But
so we can make these like comments, but like what we could say that's immoral, or we could say it is moral. And I mean, the difference here is people will disagree with each other, and that's kind of what we mean when we say it's subjective.
Right. What does it mean for something to be right or wrong?
Yeah, and who's deciding it?
Like 2 + 2 = 5 is either right or wrong.
So, but is that
moral?
Is that a moral question? Yeah.
No, that's not moral.
Okay.
So what, in terms of morality?
Right.
Yeah. So what makes something right or wrong?
With choices taken by rational creatures.
Okay.
Yeah, but it could be rational to, if you're hungry and like there's someone in front of you, you could say, oh, it's rational. It saves me the maximum amount of calories to just kill this person and eat them, because it's like over that I've got to walk all the way to the shop, and I would argue that was immoral. Like if I was to just eat my cat,
that would make it a moral question, right?
Well, but I don't want this is I think a really important detail for us to get nailed down, because without an understanding of what morality is, the rest of the conversation really would be pointless. So what makes something morally right or wrong?
Well, what makes something morally right or wrong is different than what is right or wrong, right?
I'm not sure it is. I'm not sure what. Maybe you can explain the distinction.
Sure. Like what makes 2 + 2 = 5 right or wrong is different than why.
You're talking about correct versus incorrect, and that's not the same thing as right or wrong. 2 + 2 = 5 is incorrect arithmetic.
False. Yeah.
Right.
But if we're talking about something like let's use something like lying. Like, would you agree that lying is wrong?
I mean, there are. I would say there are things that are objectively and absolutely wrong, and I would say yes. But that's for me. That's getting off topic. But I will go down this.
But I mean,
let's tease this out for just a second with lying. So, would you agree that lying is objectively wrong?
Yes.
Would that be on the list of wrong things in your worldview?
Yes.
Okay. So let me throw a hypothetical at you. Let's say you're living in many years ago, and you've got little Anne Frank hiding in your attic, and the Nazis come to your door asking you if you've got little Anne Frank hiding in your attic. Would lying to those people be the right or wrong thing to do?
That would probably be the right thing to do.
Why?
Yeah, lying. You just said
Because,
lying
yeah,
was
this-
objectively wrong.
Well,
Yeah, let's just why? Why would that be the right thing to do?
Yeah, I'm trying to explain. You have two different options. You could choose one option that is wrong, or you could choose another option that's much more wrong. And then you also have options of one option that has more of the moral good compared to less of the moral good.
Right, but I'm asking you why? Why would it be the right thing to do to lie to the Nazis searching for little Anne Frank?
Because you're weighing your moral options, and there's two moral options, and you're picking the less moral
But what makes
one,
it good?
or the
What
more-
makes it a
Right,
good
but-
thing to do to lie?
Yeah, you're making it more complicated than it needs to be. I'm really just asking you, why would that be the right thing to do? I agree with you that it would be the right thing to do. I'm just asking you why.
No, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, because it's the more moral option compared to the other option.
Why? Yeah,
Why is
that's
it
just
more
that's just rephrasing the question. Moral and right here would be interchangeable. So why would that be the morally right thing to do?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I do understand the question now. Because
Okay.
for me, the answer is not because it would. I want to make clear that this is not like a utilitarian argument. That's the argument I kind of want to attack. I'm not saying it would be right because in the end, it would be a better thing for humanity if we protect all of the Anne Franks of the world. That's not my argument. My argument is just.
I'm not asking you what your argument isn't.
Yeah,
I'm asking you
why is it good?
why. Why would that be the right thing to do?
I'm trying to explain that with an argument.
Okay. So it's not
Does that
utilitarianism.
work or no?
I'm just asking you to explain it. That like all of the other stuff, explaining what you're not doing, all of this is just sort of wasting time. I don't know how many times I can keep asking you this. Why would lying to the Nazis be the right thing to do?
Because there's an objective list of right or wrong of what is right or wrong, and you're saving somebody's life.
Saving someone's life. Okay, so why would that again? So we're just kicking the can down the road. Why is saving someone's life in this instance the right thing to do?
No, I agree we're kicking the can down the road. That's why I kind of want to skip this and get down to the end of the road.
But
Great,
I think
so-
the issue is here, though. I think
That's
why
it.
we're trying to discuss this.
Yeah. Why? What makes something morally right?
Yeah, why is saving someone's life good? I
I
mean,
think that's a good
we could
question.
come up with a
So-
hypothetical where it was bad. I mean,
If
people make
you guys
decisions
offer
about
the
that all the time.
hypothetical, could I offer another one?
If it's related
Would I be
to
able to-
what? Go for it.
So hypothetical is if Thanos was right. If in the end all of humanity had, not humanity, all of thinking creatures had a better well-being after the snap, would that have made it a morally good thing to do?
I haven't seen whatever film this is from. Sorry.
The basic premise is just really quickly, a villain becomes super powerful so that he can eliminate half of all sentient life in the universe. The idea being that then the half that's left over, their lives are better.
Right.
No, this is not the morally right thing to do. That whole other half of sentient life factors. So
Well, let's say
their well-being matters
so
too.
My answer might be
we've
different.
gotten-
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that I know the answer to this. I don't know if it's immoral because, like you're causing a load of suffering and you're killing loads of people. But if you knew for a fact, like if you had some magical foresight power or whatever, if the premise of this decision is we know that will increase the well-being of all life from this point onwards, maybe there is a point at which it becomes moral to do. And I just, I'm not convinced either way, to be honest. I mean, why? So let me just say, hang on a sec, Alex. So Kenneth has said it is immoral, and I'll just take the other position. I say, actually, I think it is moral. So I am just straight up agreeing with Thanos here. How do we know which one of us is right?
I mean, I think that's an excellent point. This is more this does not prove which one is right. This is more, if one is right, then naturalism cannot be true. If Kenneth is right, that is immoral.
We haven't established what morality is yet. This is bananas to me. Before we get onto this topic of naturalism versus supernaturalism and all that other stuff, if we're going to be talking about all of this within the context of morality, what are we talking about? That's important.
We're trying to work out which one of me and Kenneth is right. How do we do that? Like, what we measure in, what's more moral? But we don't need to talk about supernaturalism for this.
If there is a right answer to this question, and if it's Kenneth's answer, then supernaturalism is true.
I didn't ask you what's the true and correct answer to what is morality. I'm asking you to define your terms so we can have a conversation.
Yes, my terms are that if there is a correct answer to what is moral, and if it's not whatever like a secular humanist would say.
I'm still asking you to just define what you mean when you say morality so you can then make your argument.
Have I not said a list of what is right and wrong regarding
just an arbitrary list? I mean, I could go on an arbitrary list. Yeah.
Right, but exactly what Katy just said. At this point, it is an arbitrary list. You haven't given any criteria for what makes something right or wrong.
So I've got my list, and it says killing half the people in the universe is bad. That's just on the list. It's just objectively written, number 6 on the list. So now we know that in your hypothetical, killing half the universe is bad. So therefore, aliens...
I have an arbitrary list too, and on my arbitrary list, it's different. So what do we do?
So your question is which list of morality is correct?
Yeah.
Is that your question?
Well,
That's
okay.
my question.
Yeah.
My list is better than your list.
Is that your question?
Yes, go for it. How do we know?
Okay, that's not my question.
I know, but that's what I'm asking.
I don't
And
think
we've all got our own arbitrary lists of what's moral. So on my list it says killing half of anything at any moment in time is morally good. Like, how do I know that?
Yeah, that's not the question. That's not the question I came to ask. If that's the question you guys want to ask, that's okay. We should probably stop the call. The question I came to ask is if there is an arbitrary list, it could not have come from a natural means.
What are you talking about? Katy just made up an arbitrary list.
I just made an arbitrary
list. I could make up arbitrary lists all day long.
I am pretty supernatural.
Objective list, not arbitrary. Sorry, objective, absolute.
Well, maybe mine one is objective.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't...
Maybe. But the question I did not come to ask today is which one is the true objective list. That's a different question.
So our point here is if there is this magical list out there of what is really moral, like and we find, like, what do we do? Find this list written down, and then we compare it to my list, and then we shuffle them up. Like, how is this objective? What's objective about it? How do we measure it? How do we interact with it at all? Or is this just some invisible Russell's teapot of the universe property where there's some objective list of morals in some form somewhere, but like without being able to interact with it, without being able to know which one is the correct list, then how does it have any effect on anything? We must be able to interact with it in some way to know what the list.
we agreed before that the argument stood, or the flow of the argument stood, that if there is, and I know we didn't agree for each stance, but if the stances were all true, then the outcome was true, that if morality existed, that disproved naturalism, which proves supernatural.
I didn't agree with that.
No, and because you're not defining your terms, the argument is an absolute mess. So you're saying there's a morality is a objective list of what is right and wrong, but we can't. But you seem unable to explain what right and wrong mean. Okay, if we're talking about it is as
for math.
I'm sorry?
The same for math?
No, and we already explained that distinction of so if
we can just observe maths, it's not arbitrary. I can just go out and count things in the field.
When we're talking about right and wrong, you're saying that, I mean, and we can try your argument for sure, just one time to, why not? But you're saying that morality is a list of do's and don'ts, but we're not determining why that we should or should not do these things. So it is an arbitrary list, whether it's objective or not. It's arbitrary.
And it sounds like it's not just arbitrary, but it's also uninteractable with. Like if we can't know it, I mean, there could be maybe there's a list out there of the objectively best Pokemon to worst Pokemon, and it's the objective one created by a supernatural being. But like we can't know it. We can't. I mean, we
can follow this to where it leads. I mean, it's you. This argument is that there's a moral law that must come from a moral lawgiver. It's a very, very simple thing that theists have been doing forever, and it's a tautology. It is, if there is a God, then there is a God. Great. If Katy had wheels, she'd be a bicycle. But what are we doing?
We are not trying to prove a God at all in this. We're trying to prove a possibility for a God by proving supernatural. This argument has no proof of God. So I don't know why you're saying it's because God, therefore God. Therefore God is not even in my conclusion.
It's analogous. It's, if there's a moral law, then there's a moral lawgiver. It couldn't come about by natural means. There has to be some supernatural thing. It's going back to the same like personal incredulity, God of the gaps bullshit of the earlier call. It's like I'm really, really asking you to think about the substance of this argument.
I don't see why they could. Right. So there's the issue that we're having about, like, we haven't really said what is moral, and we're saying, what even is this list, and we can't interact with it. But also have a problem with the argument you made at the start, which is maybe morals are a property of the universe. Maybe there is some measurable property. Maybe if we cut open the smallest particles that we know, we find there's this like handwritten list in Latin or something, and there actually are objective morals, but I don't think that necessarily means it came from any supernatural thing. Maybe it's a property of the universe. Maybe, there are loads of properties of the universe. Like there's an order of the elements in terms of weight. Mass. And that is just.
There's no. Sorry, go on.
I was just saying there's another list, which is we could put all of the subatomic particles in order of mass. Or all the particles in order of mass, and that is some kind of list, and that is a property of the universe. And there's no reason, like, the fact it's a list is it is not doesn't make anything supernatural, and it being moral. I mean, what is this is why we're asking what is morality. Sorry?
Did you say math is a property? Sorry, did you say math is a property of the universe?
No, I said that if we were to look at all of the particles' masses, we could make a list of them, and that is a property of the universe. I mean, if you want to do some kind of,
that is a property of the universe.
All right, we're all over the map. Go ahead, do me a favor. Since you don't want to really dig in on what morality is, go ahead and make your argument.
Okay. My argument is against secular humanism. secular
I
humanism.
thought it was against naturalism.
Well, okay. So not naturalism, secular humanism.
Oh, okay.
Secular humanism
Okay.
Okay.
that one second. Secular humanism states that whatever can be for the betterment of or well flourishing, whatever can further well flourishing of humanity would be moral. If Thanos snap indeed flourish humanity in the end in a positive way, that would make it moral. This part here is kind of where it comes into what is moral or not. But if Thanos snap is immoral, that means secular humanism is not true, which means most likely secularism or naturalism is not true, which means
we can't just mix up naturalism and secularism and secular humanism and humanism. Like, you know, that they're not all one set of concepts.
Secular humanism
I think if you wanted to say make the claim, my moral system is whatever is like increasing the well-beings of humans is good, I would just say, well, yeah, I can think of a situation where that isn't true in my opinion, so I don't agree with it. Because, you know, potentially the meat industry, we could say that's good for humans, and I think it's bad because it causes suffering to animals. And I just think that's more important than, you know, making humans have a slightly nicer lunch, arguably. And so maybe I don't agree with it. So I don't think that means I can't be secular or have a secular moral system, and I don't think it means I have to disregard naturalism or believe in a god to make that claim. It's just my subjective moral opinion, which I'll argue about till the cows come home.
I think that's actually a fair argument.
Okay.
I do have to get going. My baby is crying in the background. I will give you guys a call back on another date. Thank you for having me, though.
Wicked. Good luck with your baby.
Thank you.